Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of Charlie Chaplin's The Tramp in 1915. Finally, Charlie Chaplin, is now featured on my channel. Been really looking forward to getting into his work, or reviewing his work on the channel. Oh, and of course getting into his actually short films. This is the S&A comedies that I showed on, I showed it on my Blu-ray update. Talked about that a little bit. I got that recently. And this comes with 16 of his films. When he was under contract with the S&A company productions, and 16 films is on this set. And the one I watched today was The Tramp. I just thought, I wanted to watch that one today. I'd previously seen no Charlie Chaplin shorts. The only stuff I'd seen of his was his feature films. Chaplin, without getting into too much, really, he when you talk about the best actors, the best editors, the film, film composers, of course, directors, right near the top spot. Very very close to the actual top spot in them categories, including acting. I think he is, one of the top kind of 5 people that I kind of think of when cinema is in my head, which is not all the time. Chaplin really has changed my life with his films. Quite a few, really all of them. The feature films I've seen, which were about, I think, about 8 of his films. From The Kid till Limelight. Them ones. I didn't see A Woman in Paris, but that's the only one. So it's all them ones. And his very best films, I think, very rarely has other films come close to them. Especially his absolute finest film, which I won't ruin yet. What I'll be doing now is I'll be going through quite a lot of these shorts, and in the mutual films as well, reviewing them. And of course, now that I've started this, at the same time as the shorts, I will be doing the feature films, rewatching and reviewing them. And of course, actually watching A Woman in Paris this time, and his last 2 feature films, which I didn't watch last time. So I cannot wait. Because really, yes, he changed my life, and ever so, always grateful to this guy, an absolute genius, and someone that really is just, as I say, changed my life with his best films in particular, and very inspirational stuff, and the way that he was a true auteur, really the definition of an auteur, maybe more than Kubrick, because. Well, maybe it's kind of similar, because Kubrick, of course, didn't act in his films. He didn't necessarily score them, but his control with the direction and stuff, you could say, was higher. So balances out. I think these 2 guys are the 2 perfectionists, the highest perfectionists and auteurs really in cinema, and both are my top absolute favourite directors. But Chaplin, he was one of the first at this time, when this film came out, to actually be dabbing into all these sort of things and acting in his films. And of course, Buster Keaton, he's always compared to Buster Keaton. I've seen some Buster Keaton shorts now. I've not seen any of his feature films yet. I look forward to that. And I really like Buster Keaton. I've been very impressed with some of his stuff. There's a couple I've not liked. The Pale Face being one of them. I didn't like that one. But yeah, no, Keaton's really, really good, and he's got some great stunts and everything. But Chaplin, and of course it's Lauren Hardy as well. But Chaplin is the one for me that really just outshines them all from what I've seen of him. And it's because of the pathos as well that is kind of in his films, and just the spirituality. Now these shorts, of course, I did not expect them to be on the level with the features. And yeah, from what I see, even this is one of the most acclaimed. It's not going to be, for me, as good as his feature films. But yeah, The Tramp is basically the first one where we saw, well, the character of the tramp, as most of the people, knew it. And it's the one where he would he would kind of go away from his more pure slapsticks, I believe, and actually, have a character who, it's got more emotion in it, and a character that cares more caring for people, and that's quite prevalent in this one. And as well, the way it ends as well, which I won't ruin, is very much, what would happen in a lot of his feature films. Instead of, I believe, from what I've heard, I haven't seen them, of course, fully. The earlier ones are more pure slapstick, you could say. This is the one where the actual pathos comes into play, and yeah, I watched it tonight for the first time, and it's basically he finds the girl of his dreams. And he helps her out with these guys, these thieves, trying to take her money. And there's bits where he actually tries to take his money as well. It's kind of pleasant, but then eventually he does kind of try to help her, and then he ends up on her kind of family farm. She's the daughter of a farmer, and there's some other farmers there as well. And of course, as well, so basically, he defends this farm from these kind of bandits, or whatever you want to call them, thieves, burglars, and he kind of just, I suppose, he does it for this woman, and things arise in the second half of the film where you find out different things, and doesn't all go according to plan. But yes, this is, of course, it's edited by him, by Chaplin. It's directed, written by him, and of course, it's the main star. And that's just something on its own, really, to kind of just be wowed at. And in this film, you can see many of his traits that would come through in quite a lot of his other films, and especially the ending and stuff. The end in 5 minutes. This film is really good film. I wouldn't call it great. I don't think I'd quite call it great, but I didn't expect to be wowed by these shorts, and of course maybe I will be by some of them, but this one, I think it has some great stuff in there, some great sequences, and overall it is a really, really good film. The high end of the very good, I would say, and it's got some stunning slapstick comedy in there, just something that only Chaplin really could do, in this way, and I just think the slapstick is so good, the routines, and sustained comedy. There's just some really creative stuff that goes on, and as well, I really liked some of the characters in there. At times it's a bit basic, compared to his actual features. And of course, there's the actual three bandits. What I would say the cons with them, some of their acting isn't great. But the skinny one in particular, he's not great in this film. But the actual, the farmer's daughter in the film, she's really good in this film, and the actual farmer, and I think there's a doctor as well in there. He's really good. Chaplin is great. You can see that this is this is where it all started, really, as we know it, and I think it's just so good in this film, Chaplin. Someone that you kind of is very, very likable. Of course, again, these are more, it does. Of course, I've heard that he's more caring in this film, but he's still someone that is quite more violent, you could say. Of course, the term violence, but yeah, violent compared to his later work, where he wouldn't really harm anyone. But yeah, no, it does. He's poking everyone with a pitchfork and stuff, and it adds for some great comedy. But there's flourishes of what would appear in his later films, basically, but it's not fully what you'd see in, for example, The Kid. Where he's a completely caring person, really, and the actual the violence within the slapstick that does happen is not anywhere close to what happens in this. But as I say, the slapstick is just great. I cannot fault that. It's not masterfully crafted like some of his other ones, but for what he's actually given and the actual location, everything, I think he's done a great job with this. The direction's great, definitely. I think that the kind of the bits at the beginning where he meets up with the woman is great, and as well the stuff that happens at the end of her. But really in the middle, I think she could have been in it a bit more. It could have been more development, of the farmer's daughter and Chaplin, their relationship. It focused a lot more on the actual him helping out on the farm, which was great, and of course him fending off these these burglars, these criminals. But I think it would have been even better if it had come back to that sort of stuff that was going on, because that was really human. That's what I find was flourishes are there, very, very human stuff. Of course, in his feature films, rarely have I seen films more human than some of his best. It's, as I say, overall this is far away from what he would achieve, but later on. But already on its own, it's very, very good stuff, and almost great. At times it is great, but I think some of the acting from the side characters let down. I think overall that it doesn't fully come together. In a way that, I mean, it does come together at the end, but the middle segment, I think at times it kind of, it doesn't meander, but it just I think it could have been more consistent, keeping up with the main you know, this relationship and the character development, and then the ending, it would have come together. All the pieces throughout would have come together, and you would have been like, you know, that's. But you know, for what you know, it's a short film, of course. It is essentially, it's just a comedy, but it has got some really really human moments in there. Some very very beautiful moments. The cinematography is stunning. You know, the framing and everything like that, great. And you know, just the way, of course, that Chaplin acts in this film. You know, I'll be talking, of course, more in depth in the later ones, his features, about how good he was at acting. And of course, just his mannerisms in this film, stunning. You know, just of course the way he walks is so iconic. You know, I recently reviewed Edward Scissorhands, and that takes a lot of inspiration in the way that, you know, Edward walks, from you know, Chaplin films, and the way this Tramp character was. And really, the Tramp character would kind of end with modern times. You could say the Great Dictator, and then after that, he kind of played different characters for the most part. But yeah, it would really begin here and last many you know, years, of course, a couple of decades. And you know, it's just he's one of the most iconic characters in film history. You know, at one point he would be the most famous, of course, and you know. I just think that Chaplin is a genius. As a film, this one, you know, as a short, you know, I think it's very good. I don't think it's overall great, but you know, I didn't expect it to be. But really, I love this film for most of it, and I think it's got great comedy in it. Of course, the actual physicality of it is just great. The way it's been edited and shot is really stunning. There's no doubt. The score, I think, was a new score that was put in because maybe the original wasn't completely, you know, there still, and you know, it was a really good score. I can't comment on that too much because yeah, but you know, as well, the actual the ending as well, I think was great. I think that if the rest of the film had been like the beginning few minutes and the ending 5 minutes as well, I think this could have been a great film. But it's still got some really good comedy in there. You know, the stuff with the pitchfork and everything, and just the way that the situations that arise that he's put in there, you know, and you do really feel for this character at times as well, the Tramp. You feel sorry for him, and as well, just a very yeah, innocent character at times and stuff. And yeah, overall, I think I'd have to give this film an 88%. I think it's very good, and definitely, of course, check it out. I would recommend, of course. When it comes to Chaplin, you've got to check out everything with him, really. I would recommend, and of course, I still haven't yet. And it's great to see more stuff of him. And of course, I can't wait to rewatch, even more so, rewatching my favourite ones of the features, which really will begin this week, I would say, with The Kid. And yes, I have many great things to say about that. But yes, very good film. You know, it has some flaws, mainly with the acting and the way it kind of doesn't maintain a really compelling set of relationships and everything. It does, you know, the slapstick does go on without any, at times without a lot of character moments and stuff, which is fine, but you know, it would have been even better if it had, you know, kept up that. But as I say, very very good film, and quite close to great. And of course, my first Chaplin review. Thanks for watching, but really stay tuned for the feature films in particular, and of course, you know, more shorts. You know, I cannot wait for more of them. So thanks for watching my review of Charlie Chaplin's The Tramp.